Good afternoon, Zinger Nation. My name is Logan Ross, and this is Moon or Bust, your home for all things altcoins and decentralized finance. It is my absolute pleasure to present you with today's second episode of Moon or Bust, live from Detroit, Michigan. Today, we'll be talking to billionaire venture capitalist legend Tim Draper about why he purchased over 30,000 Bitcoin back in 2014 and what he thinks about the future of decentralized finance. So clear your schedules, get your snacks, and get ready for the biggest episode of Moon or Bust in the history of the show. I am joined today by DeFi developer Brian Moir and Layer 2 enthusiast Ryan McNamara. If you guys are ready to get started, do me a huge favor and smash the like button to let YouTube know that Moon or Bust is where it's at. While you're down there, drop a question or comment about the crypto projects you're looking at this week. Subscribe to the separate Benzinga crypto YouTube channel. Join our Telegram for a 25% off discount code on swag and to stay up to date with the token that is launching soon. More details to come on that this week. As always, make sure to connect with us and Tim Draper on Twitter. With that out of the way, I would like to bring Tim onto the stream.
Hey, Logan.
Hey, how's it going? I'd like to welcome you to Moon or Bust. You're an inspiration of mine. So for those of you who don't know, Tim Draper was an early investor in Hotmail, Skype, Tesla, SpaceX, SolarCity, Twitter, Twitch, Ledger, Coinbase, Robinhood, and the list goes on. Tim has been right time and time again, discovering the next big thing seemingly before everyone else. In 2014, Tim purchased over 30,000 Bitcoin seized from the Silk Road at an average price of around $600 per Bitcoin. At today's prices, Tim is around $1 billion in the black on that trade alone. Tim, how does it feel to be right so much of the time?
I'm wrong more than I'm right. The way I look at it is when I make an investment, I'm saying, what will the world look like if these entrepreneurs are successful? I'm always thinking, what if it works? I'm never thinking about what could go wrong. I'm always thinking, what if it works? And if it works, does it make our world a better place? Does it create more freedom and trust? Does it build a better communication system around the world? Does it allow us to get off this planet, or does it make this planet better? Does it make human health better? All of those things. And then and that's how I make my investment decisions. And so I miss a lot of big investments because I think, well, I'm not sure how big it can get, but or how important it is. But I've hit a few.
Hey, well, thank you so much for that, and thank you for coming on today. I know you're a busy guy, so we appreciate you making the time. So my first question is how has your investment philosophy changed since you founded DFJ in '85?
So I actually founded Draper Associates in '85. We brought John Fisher in '91, and then Jurvetson in '93, and then we renamed it in '94. Gotcha. And then it went back to Draper Associates. I spun out and went back to Draper Associates. But, you know, when I first got going, I was knocking on doors of new development projects to see anywhere there was a sign that said something software. And that was how I was finding my investments. So it's changed a lot. We've gone from that to where the venture capital and entrepreneurship have spread around the world, which kind of was my mission in life. I saw what it did for the Silicon Valley secondhand, watching as my dad was an investor. And then I started to spread the word, and that was a big part of it. But now there are so many entrepreneurs out there, and there are so many venture capitalists out there that it's gotten to be very competitive, but it's also allowed creative people from wherever they may be to enter this really extraordinary, exciting market. So I would say it's changed in a big way, but the benefits are still there. And I don't think there's a limit to how great this can be, because more and more people can continue to innovate, and it allows all those people to innovate. It used to be, way back when, it was sort of the Silicon Valley and a little from Route 128 in Boston, and those were the only people that were starting businesses of any technology businesses. Mm-hmm. And then it evolved so that Silicon Valley has been exported. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And now we're moving into another level where, because of the internet was the one who really helped us spread this technology and entrepreneurship around the world and venture capital. But now Bitcoin and the blockchain and smart contracts are making it so that the world economy has a new platform from which to operate, and the geographic borders are starting to fall. And what that means is that we're taking this anthropological leap forward as a human people. Very exciting. The borders were really important for a while. It was like, you don't cross this border, I don't cross this border, and we can both build our families and our communities without fear of invasion on that border. And that was great for a while. But then many years later, the internet came, and we realized that by communicating across that border, we were both better off. And having no border was even better. The European Union started to make it so that there really wasn't any border. And we both benefit, because, like, let's say you let's say you have a farm and I have a house. If we don't trade with each other, I die of starvation and then you die of exposure. And if we trade and then multiply that by the 8 billion people around the world and all their creativity, they're all helping one another and us and providing us better lives. And we should encourage that. So free trade is so important. Open borders are so important. Bitcoin is so important because it's a global, frictionless, open, transparent, well-recognized currency. Very exciting to see what Bitcoin can do for the world. And down the road, we're going to look 10 years from now, we're going to look back and we're going to say, God, remember when people used currencies that were linked to political forces, linked to government or military groups or whatever, or countries that would just keep printing currency like Venezuela and Argentina and Nigeria? Now we've got a new currency. And once I can use my Bitcoin, I can use it at some places, KFC and other places, but KFC in Canada. Once I can use it for pretty much anything I want to buy, I will make the complete transfer and move all my fiat to Bitcoin, because who's going to want a currency that is tied to political forces and subject to inflationary pressures? When the government printed trillions of dollars, that made all the dollars that were out there originally worth less. So why would I hold a currency like that when I can hold one that there are only 21 million of them, and it's going to be recognized around the world? So
the most predictable inflation strategy there is.
A short question.
Sorry, say that again.
That was a long answer to a short question.
So my next question was, do you see blockchain technology as an evolution of the internet or something separate entirely? It sounds like you see it as more of a sociological, evolution than more of an evolution of the internet. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I call it an anthropological leap, because it's really the study of humanity rather than the study of a society. And yes, I think, think about what you can do with Bitcoin, the blockchain, a smart contract, and then artificial intelligence and surveillance. Suddenly where the internet transformed communications, gaming, entertainment, media, whatever, taxis, The Bitcoin and those other technologies have the potential to transform banking. Clearly, that's already happening. Finance, we're hoping that we can use it for finance, where I can raise money in Bitcoin, invest it all in Bitcoin, have the companies pay their employees and suppliers in Bitcoin through Bitcoin, and have that all on one big smart contract, and the auditing and the accounting and the bookkeeping is all done automatically on the blockchain. So that is the future of investing, I believe. And so that's going to change finance for good. And people will keep their ownership on the blockchain, so it can't be manipulated. And so the trading of shares is going to be on the blockchain. All of that is going to change finance. Commerce is going to change, because with OpenNode, you're going to be able to pay any merchant without a credit card, without paying the banks 2.5% to 4% every time you swipe your credit card. So that's going to be a new change, and so commerce will change. And the merchants will use OpenNode, and then great things will happen. And then insurance is going to change, because I can actually, you know how insurance companies work now is that you pay your premium, and then you have a claim. And then the insurance company fights you about the claim, and you're in a battle, sometimes a legal battle. And then finally, there's some sort of a settlement, and the insurance company pays something. Well, what if you had an insurance company, you pay your premiums, and then even before you knew that your house burned down, there would be Bitcoin sitting in your wallet, because they have surveillance, and they spot when a house is being burned down, and here's the money. It shows up in your wallet, and you don't have to fight any insurance company anywhere anymore. I think that's going to change insurance. And what is government but a series of insurance companies? It's your healthcare insurance, your workman's comp insurance, your unemployment insurance, your Social Security, your pension, your welfare. All those things are insurance programs. They can all be worked out somehow with surveillance or monitoring and built into a smart contract with Bitcoin on the blockchain. So that's going to change government. Government itself is going to change. The local part of government will always be there, but, well, I don't know, maybe there are ways to deal with that too. But all of these other governmental services that are all based on insurance can be transformed by the blockchain. And then the final one I want to talk about is healthcare. Because with artificial intelligence, by keeping all your data on the blockchain, people can do diagnostics and therapeutics all through data. And we're finding, like, Cloudmedix actually they monitor data, and they have everybody's healthcare records on there, and they are outperforming the average doctor on properly diagnosing patients. So, and when combined with a doctor, they do even better. So diagnostics is going to be that plus more. Like, it'll include things like your Fitbit results and your blood test and your genetic history and your where you sat on the airplane, and all that data is going to do a better job of diagnostics. And then in therapeutics, of course, when we all had this virus came along, all of the vaccines and cures for the virus were all tied to the dry lab. They were all invented on the computer screen. They were not invented in the wet lab. And so data, once again, is they're using computational biochemistry. And that, I think, is going to transform healthcare. So if you're going after any of those industries, I'm a big potential backer.
Agreed.
So banking, insurance, healthcare, and the government, they're all currently being disrupted by blockchain technologies and more specifically smart contracts. Now, I know you talked about smart contracts on
Bitcoin is completely transforming the banking system, and hopefully will also transform the finance world.
Yeah, and Bitcoin is the first example of decentralized finance. But since then, smart contracts have enabled a huge ecosystem of decentralized applications, mostly on the Ethereum blockchain. So with all the action happening more recently on Ethereum and Bitcoin slow to catch up, slow to add smart contracts, do you foresee Ethereum surpassing Bitcoin's market cap in the future?
No, I look at Bitcoin as the Microsoft and all the other altcoins as the word perfect Lotus 1, 2, 3 in the early database companies. Because what Microsoft did was they waited until certain things were really interesting, and then they brought it into their operating system. And I think the Bitcoiners are doing the same thing. They're waiting for certain things to be really relevant, and then they'll move it onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So I think we're going to see the smart contract move over. I mean, if you're a retailer today, they say you want to accept dollars. Well, yeah, we'll accept dollars. You want to accept stable coins? Well, yeah, maybe we'll accept stable coins. You want to accept Bitcoin? Yes. You want to accept some of these other altcoins? I don't know what those things are. I know there are only 21 million Bitcoin out there, but there might be there's a varying number of Ethereum, a varying number of all these other tokens. And so there's no certainty that you are going to have a hedge against inflation with the other tokens.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And there's clearly a lot of industries that blockchain technology is revolutionizing right now. So between, say, art, financial services, healthcare, gaming, and the government, where do you think we'll see mainstream adoption first?
Well, mainstream adoption is already starting to happen, but I would say it's interesting that the gamers didn't jump into Bitcoin. They still have their own little, it's the gold or diamonds or whatever that is inside the game. So I don't know if the gamers are going to be first, but maybe a new generation of gamers will come along and make it so that they can actually use real Bitcoin. I do understand, and I have since 2003, 2004, when I met this guy from Korea, and he told me about a game called Legends, or yeah, I think so.
League of Legends.
Yeah, no, it was called something. It was in Korean, so I don't really know what it meant. But he showed me that half of his world was virtual, and the other half was in the physical world. And he showed me also that there would be real estate out there and currency out there and whatever else. And so what we're really talking about is this virtual world that continues to grow. And the physical world becomes a smaller and smaller portion. It will still be a big portion, but smaller and smaller portion of our economy. It's fun to think about, where that can all go. But for now, it just makes sense that people will be more and more adopting Bitcoin and less being tied to government currencies. And I think, and generally, big industries start from a bunch of people having fun. And that happened, I think, with the originators of Bitcoin. I think they were all having fun. And so I think it will continue to grow in that way. And so, I think it's going to be a really interesting transformation. I think we're going to see some major changes in the world, and they'll happen somewhat gradually, but they will be like, when you go forward 10 years and look back, you'll say, oh my God, so much has happened. Same thing as every decade, a lot happens. In fact, the top seven of the top 10 companies on the top 10 list, the most valuable companies in the world, have turned over every 10 years. So only 3 remain. So if you think that Google, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon and Facebook are going to be in the top 10, all of them are going to be in the top 10 a year, 10 years from now, you're mistaken. I think it's going to be, Bitcoin, Coinbase, SpaceX. It's going to be a different group.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And we definitely love Bitcoin and Ethereum here on this channel because it's so decentralized and nobody can control it. Unlike some of these other blockchains that only run 10 or 20 nodes and it can be halted at any time, they're really only pseudo decentralized. So my question here is, to what extent do you think retail investors actually care about decentralization? Because it seems like a lot of these retail traders are sacrificing security for low transaction fees, like, for example, Binance Smart Chain.
Sure. Yeah. The retail investor tends to be more transaction oriented. So they're more sensitive to the transaction fees. I tend to invest for the long haul and buy and hold. And I go through all sorts of machinations, and boy, you've sure seen some extraordinary volatility in the dollar as it's compared to Bitcoin, and you'll probably continue to see that over time. And so the retail investor may be more sensitive to transaction fees, and so that transaction fee business may be a race to the bottom. But all of these groups are going to have better and better services long term. I don't know if this is answering your question. But I think, I expect Coinbase to continue to provide more and more services to their clients, and we'll all be benefiting from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
The trading business, or those margins just keep shrinking over time because it becomes a commodity business. But if they hold your money and you are a customer of that business, then that's why I think Coinbase will be bigger than Binance. Because I think Binance is really for the quick twitch transactions, mm-hmm. and Coinbase is for those people who are building a portfolio using their custody, using operating, in effect, replacing all the things that banks do too.
For sure. And I know Coinbase is big on decentralization. I've heard Brian Armstrong say he wants to implement dApps onto Coinbase and be basically the app store for decentralized applications, which I think for longevity is a great thing. I also wanted to touch on regulation. With so many rug pulls in the DeFi ecosystem these days, it's clear there needs to be a little bit more and more regulation in the space. So what parts of DeFi do you think
that's not clear? That isn't clear to me. I look and I say the world is opening up, and we now have these new decentralized systems, and they're just starting to flourish. And the ones that really grow are going to make the world a much better place. And, like Unstoppable is providing free speech for the world. It's amazing. And that free speech is going to be incredibly valuable for people all around the world. If you're in Sudan, you can talk about that you don't like the leader. If you're in Tibet, you can talk about how free Tibet from China. So you're going to be seeing this decentralized world completely open the world up. And the regulators are looking and going, wait, Well, some of them are saying this is a great thing for our economy. Everybody's going to be wealthier. Everybody's going to be more engaged. More transactions are going to occur. We're just going to be a wealthier country. Let's let this thing go and ride through our country. And then the ones that are control based, the ones that think I've got to control everything, they're going to take their countries down a horrible rat hole as they try to overregulate something that should be very light touch. And so I don't agree with the idea that it has to be more regulated. I think the SEC would agree with me. I think most of the SEC feels like that they basically want more exchange, more innovation, more technology, and then they still have a mandate of trying to protect the widow and the orphan. And I actually think they need to maybe protect the widow, but not the orphan. The orphan is, let's say it's a 25-year-old orphan. Give them a shot at making a lot of money. Give them, you can fail several times along the way to success, and I think we want to encourage that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Are there any parts of decentralized finance you think do need more regulation, though?
Well, I think that it needs a different spin. I actually think that, and what this would take is a leader who really understands how economics works and really understands cryptocurrency and how it works. But there are two things that, and I start with taxes because that drives most of the forced regulations. I think you could do one of two things. One is you could just tax every little transaction that happens in the crypto world in some tiny way. 0.001 penny for every transaction. That would probably be enough to support the whole economic system of government. But the other way to do it is just say, if a business is operated in Bitcoin, it should be treated exactly as if it were operated in dollars. So that means that the accounting, the whole system, and the tax system would be all in Bitcoin rather than having it have to be translated to dollars and back to Bitcoin, back to dollars, back to Bitcoin. Because I think that would be a really valuable thing to do. Putting regulations on things just to tell people that they can't do something runs anathema to the U.S. and its freedom charter. I mean, U.S. is a free country. And if you start telling people in the U.S. what they can and can't do, you start moving more towards socialism and communism. And as everyone knows, they don't work. They didn't work in North Korea. They didn't work in East Germany. They didn't work anywhere they were used. Socialism and communism just don't work, never have. And they're not going to work in China. If China starts going back the old way, it's not going to work there either. Freedom, free markets, trust, a free and open society. I think those are the things that are going to work and will continue to work. And the less people have to force, the less the regulators impose on their people, the more valuable the whole system becomes. And that's been true throughout. The average South Korean is not only 460 times earns 460 times as much as the average North Korean, but they are now 70 years later, they are now 4 inches taller than the average North Korean. I mean, it makes no sense to go back to where governments are trying to tell everybody what to do. In fact, beware. I mean, you got to fight, continue to fight against that creeping of regulation, that creeping government that comes along where they say, okay, well, first we're going to have you wear masks, and then we're going to have you walk goose step, and then we're going to do this. And then it just gets worse and worse. So you have to just, you know, if for everybody's health reasons you have to wear a mask, fine, but don't let that creep in so that we're waiting for the government to tell us what to do next. We need freedom to do the things that work for us.
Nice. So crypto and DeFi are only a few years away from some meaningful, truly mainstream adoption. What do you see as the largest hurdle left to overcome before this can happen?
Yeah, I think they've been overcome. It's just a matter of having those products proliferate through the world. Because with OpenNode, you can't, if I'm a merchant and I know about OpenNode, I sign up day one because then I can accept Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I can run my shop that way, and I can also make it like 30% Bitcoin and 70% dollars so that I can keep my operation going, but I can be retaining the currency of the future. People ask me, when are you going to sell your Bitcoin? And I look at them and I say, wait, into what? Why would I ever trade my Bitcoin, which is the currency of the future, for the currency of the past? It would be like taking your euros and turning them into French francs. It doesn't, or Greek drachma. It doesn't make any sense because we have an evolutionary world and we're moving toward Bitcoin and away from fiat. And that's a trend that will just continue for years and years to come. And then the other thing that I've seen that not everybody has seen is that you can use Cryptio, this company Cryptio, to do all your accounting in Bitcoin, and so then that can take care of all of that. You know, when people say, "Well, no, whether the regulators need to do," I think they can do less. I think they can actually do less because crypto and the blockchain create trust. And Bitcoin is, the most trustworthy because it hasn't been hacked, knock on wood, currency system in the world today. And so now with Cryptio, you can have that trust in the accounting for the most trusted currency. And that's what regulators are all really trying to do. They're trying to create trust in the system. And the ones that are the great ones are also creating freedom in the system. And what promotes freedom and trust the most? It's Bitcoin.
There you go. So back in 2018, you predicted that Bitcoin's price would reach $250,000 by 2022. It looks like your thesis is playing out quite perfectly. Where did that number come from? And do you have a subsequent price prediction for Ether?
Well, I don't have one for ETH. I'm less interested in it. I think it's sort of number two, and it'll be less and less relevant over time. I mean, it's important for a lot of this innovation, and it's also important for the new technologies that are being tried on it. But I think Bitcoin is far more important long term. Well, I was dead on the prediction when I think Bitcoin was selling at $180. And I got on I got on Fox News, and I said that Bitcoin was going to be $10,000 within 3 years, and it was almost 3 years to the day that it hit 10,000. And then it dropped down to about 4,000 and in 2018. And I said that at that point, I said that Bitcoin by the end of 2022 or early 2023, Bitcoin will hit $250,000. And, of course, they always think I'm crazy until it happens. And that's the way it looks like it's going to be. I do it with some combination of analytics and some combination of gut feel and some piece of having a good sense for what's happening 5 years from now. Everyone I meet who's an entrepreneur, I meet 8 entrepreneurs a day. Those entrepreneurs are all telling me about what they think the future is going to look like 5 to 15 years from now. And by bringing all those things together, I'm able to predict better. And so I think we're right on track. We'll see how it goes. But we're right on track to hit our prediction again.
So moving on to like the more larger scale companies and even countries getting their own crypto and blockchain, we'll just take Facebook's Libra and the digital yuan. Who do you think would win if it's a country or a big tech giant? Like, what is your outlook on those?
I think neither one is going to be the long-term winner. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. Bitcoin, one of the 4 major pillars of Bitcoin is, well, first, it's decentralized, but that it's global and it's open and transparent. Those 2 currencies only have the open and transparent of the 4 pillars. So, I was all excited when there was the Aurora Coin. Mm-hmm. And that was when Iceland came up with a coin. And it was like back in 2013 or 2014. And I thought, that's great. That's awesome. And then they made it very clear that this was only going to be accepted in Iceland. And I thought, you missed the whole point. Yeah. And now China's a bigger market than Iceland, but they've missed the whole point. Mm-hmm. The whole point is that this is a global world. It's a global economy. We all benefit from trading and helping each other, and we should keep it that way. And having a global currency that is universally trusted is way better than having one that has the iron grip of some, communist dictator. And I think they're going to experience that. And I think Libra was close because they were centralized, but they were trying to decentralize it, like bringing in all these partners. But I think it's still centralized. And there is some value to, like, the economy is already starting to happen. Like, I think if Amazon did this, that would be pretty interesting. Or if Alibaba did it, it would be pretty interesting. But I think it's a lot easier to just include Bitcoin in the shopping cart.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got it. It's here.
There's a bunch of rumors that they would take Amazon was going to take Dogecoin, but it turned out to be a whole thing. But if they're going to take that, they have to take Bitcoin, Litecoin, all those others. And like you said, being as a global payment, that's the whole key. And with some of these being decentralized, like say if Facebook, you said they're going to try to decentralize it, but there's always that back of your head, like, is Facebook really going to try to decentralize a product that they have? Because they have the whole stranglehold on everyone's data, on everything. So it kind of goes against what they were growing up to know them as. But what do you think a solution for some of these companies or even countries to be? Should they just make their crypto and blockchain just fully open, fully decentralized, localize it there and let it spread, and then maybe bring people in that way? Like, what would you say would be a solution to the issue of it being a centralized, decentralized currency?
Well, I think Japan had it right, and now El Salvador and Malta. Bitcoin should be a national currency. And then it becomes an international currency, and eventually it's a global currency. It's coming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise out there, but it's coming. It's this like slow, steady snowball, and it's growing and growing and growing and growing. it's a drumbeat. It's the Bitcoin drumbeat, and it's just coming. And governments are going to, the bad governments are going to resist it, and the good governments are going to adapt it and embrace it. And the good governments are going to, 40 years from now, people are going to look back and say, boy, those guys in Japan, they were so smart. They made Bitcoin a national currency early. Those guys in El Salvador, so smart. They made Bitcoin their national currency. And then the ones that try to resist it or try to create their own or whatever, people are going to look and say, oh yeah, kind of a nice little also ran.
Gotcha.
Well, Tim,
go ahead.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I know that we are out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, and we hope to have you back on in the future. But yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Great. My pleasure. Good talking with you guys.
Love the tie, by the way.
Good work.
Yes.
One of the things I've always wanted to do. So that's awesome.
You need an Ethereum one next.
No, you weren't listening.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, that was the Tim Draper interview. If you enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button for that great educational content. That was one of the biggest guests ever on Benzinga and certainly on Moon or Bust. Ryan, what did you think of the interview?
I loved it. I mean, it was great. It was super cool to have him on. I was excited all week for it. I wish he was a little bit more of an Ethereum maxi like you and I, but everyone has their own viewpoints, and we'll see how it all rolls out in the future.
He's a Bitcoin guy till he dies. I mean, I get it too, though. But I do understand it. I like Ethereum a whole lot, but I totally those are good points. I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I think either way, decentralization at this point is inevitable, and I think Tim made that clear.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting, his points about Ethereum versus Bitcoin and how maybe some stuff is being worked on Ethereum. We're going to see what works, and then eventually Bitcoin will upgrade its technology, adopt full-featured smart contracts, and then the biggest dApps will eventually be ported over to Bitcoin, and they're going to thrive there even more than they do on Ethereum. I had never heard that case presented before. I think it's certainly a possibility, but there's so much that's already going on Ethereum. I mean, obviously, if Bitcoin is able to get full featured smart contracts, then some sort of volume is going to start moving over.
Well, you got to think like they will. I mean, it's not impossible for it. It's a slower moving ecosystem. So it takes a lot more effort to get changes made because it's so global and so much more decentralized. Well, not more decentralized, but so much larger scale. And you have to get all these people on the same page, vote on it, and it happens. I feel like Ethereum, it's just like one thinks one way, the other thinks the other way. And like they're two different almost political parties, but not that quite. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but it's kind of a good way to think about it. They're just two different mindsets.
Yeah, definitely. And Ethereum has this first mover advantage for smart contracts. Bitcoin has the first mover advantage of consumer adoption and retail adoption. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see play out over, the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah. It's not going
anywhere. I want to toss it out to the chat. What do you guys think in the Bitcoin versus Ethereum debate? What did you think of Tim Draper's comments? And what do you think is left for some truly mainstream crypto adoption? Do you guys have any other questions or thoughts that Tim shared with us that you want to discuss?
More about old Tim. Where's the ETH cap, Logan?
I decided to skip it for today. Sorry, David or D DeWeed. Yeah, and make sure you guys go check out Tim Draper's Twitter in the description below. He really wanted us to give him a shout out there, and I forgot to do while he was on, but go down in the description right now. It's at Tim Draper, and connect with him there. Tweet at him, say Benzinga sent you. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Yeah, let's see. Are there any other chat comments or questions? Brian Brian, what did you think about his do you want to talk about this?
Well, you can go that first and we can do that.
What did you think about his pitch of crypto and Bitcoin as like a sociological shift?
Well, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think that that's almost the definition of what this whole movement is. It's a whole new way of thinking. It's a whole new way of life. It brings everybody together, but it gives everyone a sense of individuality too, because you can't tell, like you can forensically find out where a transaction comes from if you really put your mind to it, but it's almost impossible. Not quite, but it brings everybody together. You can do more stuff. It's limitless, borderless, and it's just a whole new way of thinking. It's going to be a whole new aspect to our lives that we're all going to have to adopt no matter what. So I think it's pretty, very interesting, and I really like it.
Ryan, anything to add on that?
No, I think Brian said it best.
All right, Brian, what was that comment you just had up?
No, this one.
All right, Kieran says, smart contracts are too ingrained in ETH. He thinks DeFi on Bitcoin will likely be lackluster. Yeah, I think a lot of people like Bitcoin because it doesn't change. It's digital gold and it will always be digital gold. If they can upgrade for smart contracts, then they could upgrade for something else, maybe like a change of the tokenomics, which isn't what nobody wants to see really. So maybe it's not going to happen. But Bitcoin is much slower to change than Ethereum, and that's one of its main selling points. So for DeFi to truly be unlocked on Bitcoin's blockchain, it take a lot.
And smart contracts are more than just DeFi. Smart contracts have a lot of use cases. I mean, think of the use cases for a blockchain. Like Trading Main said earlier today, you have like the whole ticketing for concerts and festivals. You have that whole ticket system that involves smart contracts. That involves NFTs. You have a ledger of delivering like logistics for your food being delivered, or like inventory to stores being delivered. You can track it all. You can have farmers going from they have all their stuff, right, all their produce, and they can track where it's going everywhere that way and use Bitcoin as a payment. I mean, there's so many use cases for smart contracts. It doesn't have to be DeFi, and I personally believe that DeFi is awesome and it's here to stay, but these certain DeFi only tokens that are like the redistribution and the automatic yield holding, all that stuff, that's going to kind of lose its boom a little bit soon enough, because it's it is what it is. But DeFi as a whole is much more than just those RFI tokens. So I think it can be something really successful, but we just got to see. We don't know yet.
Ryan, what did you think of his pushback on your assumption that there needs to be some sort of regulation in DeFi?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Tim is against regulation in the crypto markets. In my opinion, there should be some protection against consumers. You see these people going to all these shit coins on Binance Smart Chain and losing all their money. I mean, just like there is in the right, exactly, and just like there is in the stock market, like there has to be a certain degree of regulation in the markets. It can't just be a completely free market. Although I do agree with him, like free markets are probably the best way to go about it. There still needs to be some type of protection for consumers.
Well, you can just not go into these altcoins that somebody just coded or copy and pasted, and now you find it on Telegram and it goes up 1,000% because a bunch of bots got it, and then it tanks and then you lose your $50. But one of the times you made, you probably made 15,000 on one off $100. And then you're just chasing. Like Trader Man kind of put it all together. If you start putting regulations in crypto, that takes away the whole aspect of crypto and decentralization. So I think you should just stick away from those coins that no one knows a developer. It's on a Telegram. It doesn't have any no presence. You didn't do any research, all that kind of stuff. But I think regulations actually would hurt more than they would help in that aspect. Plus, buying a smart chain, just whatever. I'm done with it. I'm over it.
So CR wants to know, what platform are you all using for DeFi? So I use a variety of DeFi apps, mostly Uniswap and Aave, and that's where I earn some interest on my coins that I'm not trading. I don't do much trading, so I have a bit of my portfolio, maybe 20% of my portfolio as LP tokens on Uniswap. You guys want to add anything?
No, I use the same program, so you covered it.
I've been using Bancor a little bit and mess around with P tokens and synthetic tokens just to kind of get used to it. I haven't had like a big return, but it's pretty interesting. This is what was causing all the trouble and ruckus the whole time. I'm sorry. She usually does not do that.
What's her name?
This is Layla.
Layla?
She ate 3 loaves of bread that we had on the counter, and now is really fat. She used to be skinny. She ate in 4 hours, and now she's really fat.
We'll do it. Happens to the best of us, right?
I tell you.
Okie dokie. What are you guys thinking?
We could play a little Moon or Bust if anyone wants to throw some tickers in the chat.
There we go.
What's Moon or Bust without Moon or Bust?
I do have one comment I want to pull up. What do y'all think about Draper owning XRP?
It was like one of the first, borderless payments. I don't blame him at all because it was like the first one to do it, but that's outside of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see the allure with it, but it's definitely interesting that he's still in it with the SEC lawsuit. I mean, I guess if he thought that they wouldn't win, then he'd probably sell, but maybe that's a good sign for XRP.
Yeah, I mean, he still still doesn't blame the of the Theranos thing. I think he sees the best in every situation. And he said it earlier, like at the beginning, he doesn't really know. It's about what they can do. And, everyone makes mistakes, but I think XRP is, they got caught up in something, but I think they're still going to, because they're big other places like London or the UK and stuff. I see a lot of potential. I wish they could trade it in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing Sheeb again.
Okay, so Kieran wants DXY. We only have time for one more, about 3 minutes left, and then we have the Trend Spider tickers of the day coming up for you next. So stay tuned for that. You won't want to miss it. Get some stock action going on, some stonk action. But let me pull up DXY.
I don't know what this one is. I haven't actually seen it before, I don't think. I do not see it. Oh, there it is. Another high yield reward token on Ethereum. Please, let's not BSC.
All right, my computer's going a little bit slow, but here we go. Okay, so DXY Finance. Kieran, what is this project, man? This thing is so small, it's not even on CoinMarketCap. Market data is untracked. Doesn't even have the ranking. Showing strength. DXY up, crypto down.
Okay, well, yeah, they don't really have much information. Their site's a little small. It looks like it was just kind of thrown together. Well, probably not thrown together relatively quickly, but it doesn't really tell you anything that it is. And they really need to work on their logo, but I'm not gonna start bashing that part. But I don't know what it is. It's just another high yield farming token. They should at least probably put their white paper on there.
Kieran says the US dollar index. Maybe we're looking at the wrong thing. Kieran, you're not shilling the USD, are you? That's a fake coin. Okay, well, we are unfortunately out of time for today. But next up is the TrendSpider chart roundup. So stay tuned. It will redirect you automatically, and you can get your stonk action for the day. But we hope you enjoyed the Tim Draper interview. Make sure to smash the like button so we can keep getting these big names on, and the YouTube algorithm will show this to other people who will hopefully find it as interesting as you did. Without further ado, actually, no, it's the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Brian. This has been Moon or Bust, your home for all things altcoins and DeFi. We will see you on Wednesday, and on Friday, we have the Dogecoin creator. Peace.